Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have in the studio with me once again Professor Andrew Zamani, former president of the Nigerian Psychological Association, president-elect of the African Psychological Union, and the director of the Institute of Governance and Development Studies, Nasarawa State University, KEFI. Prof, you're welcome once again.
Thank you.
Good. Now, we want to discuss the state of mental health. We have been here before. We've discussed trauma healing, the widespread trauma in the place, the very poor state of mental health in Nigeria, even poor awareness, the level of awareness, how poor it is. We've been discussing this now for quite a few years since we have been working together. So, what is the state of mental health awareness in Nigeria today? Policies with regards to improving mental health, or at least even acknowledging the challenge of mental health. And then what do you see going forward? So,
thank you, Father George. It's a very wide question, but I would break it down. First is to say that stress is the underlying factor. Stress. There's a very high level of stress, and stress presents in different ways. To the extent that most of the behaviors that we observe in the streets, at home, even in our churches, in the mosques, at school, in the workplaces, are maladaptive. There is a depreciation of leadership capacity. People have entered into what I call a state of menticide. The perpetrators of this menticide, the mediocre leaders, the oligarchs, in the extreme sense, the dictators. Never mind the fact that we are in a democratic setting.
We still have dictators.
Yes, in the workplace, authoritarian leaders, who must damage the psyche of followers, of subordinates, in order to manipulate them and to keep them in perpetual emotional and social enslavement. That's what I mean by menticide. And so you have people who are responding to leaders, with sycophancy in order to be included,
just to survive,
and to be counted. This is mental illness, both for the leader who is orchestrating that and for those who are responding in that manner. So independent thinking, critical thinking, strategic thinking is no longer appreciated. That is why you find out that people in the civil society realm easily get angry, they easily get offended, because they seem to be talking to deaf people. Here is policy, here is information, here is what needs to be done. We are dream helpers. We are major stakeholders in national development. Please, these are the issues.
You mean public service?
Yes.
So a lot of people who are in a public service function almost like zombies. Because their personal initiative, their ingenuity is often not counted.
Yes. So you find somebody who is thoroughbred, somebody who is principled, just giving up after a few trials because his life is threatened. because he is denied, certain rights that he deserves. Mainly because
the mere fact that people
he dares to challenge the system.
Yeah, the mere fact that people are not given what they deserve by merit. For example, you get to a particular point in the ministry and you pass all the exams, promotion exams, and say, oh, no, there are a number of directors from your state.
Yes.
So you cannot be a director.
Yeah.
So I am going to retire without becoming a director because there are other smart people from my state who are already directors. And somebody who is not as qualified as myself becomes my director because he is from a state that don't have as many directors. I have never understood it. I've never understood it because when I joined the civil service, if I joined the civil service, I wanted to do my best and rise to the topmost position.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I see people who are retiring from the civil service broken. Yeah. Really broken on account of this.
Yeah. And you know that to deal with this, rather than, consider changing jobs.
Yes.
People are stuck. And that is an indication of a very serious mental health problem.
If you cannot
yes,
courageously change your job.
Take a step to change the status quo, to redefine yourself.
Yes.
Then it's a mental health problem. It is a mental health problem because, you see, people who are this stuck are usually overtaken by the fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So they would rather take all the bashing, tolerate all the injustice in the workplace than dare to take a step that or take the risk of doing something different to better their lives. People are afraid of making mistakes. People are afraid of the fear of failure, because the fear of failure in the Nigerian context is, retiring without making money.
Yeah, it's also a society that does not provide the minimum for everyone.
Thank you.
You see, a society that provides the minimum for everyone, if you retired in the US, you are entitled to Social Security. That provides you with the basics. Now, in this country, the winner takes all, the loser loses everything.
And you know the predicament our retirees face.
Yeah.
The predicament they face.
Yes.
Many of them die in the process of pursuing their entitlements. That's not to talk about the increase in social vices, the increase in the rates of crime, the rising rates of divorce, the increase in gender-based violence, the intolerance, social intolerance, that is now characterized by different forms of sectarian and communal clashes or conflicts.
Talking about the communal, sectarian, tribal, in recent times I began to hear somebody whose great-great-great-grandfather has been in Lagos, that they are questioning his credentials of being a Lagosian because his father married somebody from somewhere else. I don't know if you have heard the story.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm saying to myself, in all sane societies, you are a citizen by virtue of where you live, not where your great-grandmother or your grandmother or your mother is from. It's where do you live? And in the 21st century, Nigerians are saying somebody who has been in Lagos, whose grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather, are saying that, but because his grandfather or his father married somebody from somewhere else, we are Now, what's going on? When you talk about mental health, I'm saying I think that the people who are promoting this, I don't think they are well.
Well, that's a big sociological issue. But you see, this is where our leaders need to act, and to act fast. Because when it comes to issues of social identity, the big three claim that they are citizens of everywhere.
Okay.
In Nigeria, the Hausa,
The
Yoruba,
Igbo
and
the
the Igbos. You know, they have the financial power. They are entrenched in the civil service. And of course, because they wield a lot of political power. Just look at what happened recently. Nigeria's recent election was about the big three. Yoruba,
that's true.
Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, and the Igbos.
That is true.
Yes. And we are told to our faces, those of us who don't belong to any of these three,
that it don't matter.
That we don't matter. So there are identity issues that are cropping up. They're agitating.
Because of bad governance.
Yes.
That's why these things are cropping up. If there were good governance, we shouldn't be hearing this kind of thing.
Exactly.
I mean, a Nigerian who goes to Canada, and within 10 years, he can become a mayor.
A mayor.
And we have many Nigerians that are mayors.
We almost got a prime minister in the UK.
Yes, we almost got a prime minister in the UK. Then for that young woman to become a councillor in Lagos, they begin to investigate where the grandmother is from.
Thank you.
Now, something is wrong with us.
Something is fundamentally wrong. Because it just tells us that we are our own enemies. And there is no one who is saying that fast himself. There is none. So we have leaders who are fueling these embers of discord.
For selfish reasons.
For selfish reasons. And that is why I agree with you. That, moving forward, whoever aspires to lead Nigeria must be subjected, among other things, to psychological evaluation. I have participated in a few evaluations, for the appointment of chief executives in Nigerian organizations. And so far, my predictions about those people have not been wrong.
That is
about their capacity.
Eventually.
Yes, about their capacity to lead. As a matter of fact, independent comparisons have been made between psychological assessment and human resource assessment. And there has always been agreement. These agencies that have benefited from this kind of services, are soaring because the right people are in place.
Are engaged.
And after all, those who eventually did not make it, became conscious of the fact that, their character, their personality dispositions, their mentations, and so on and so forth, are issues that they would always be assessed on, beyond what they have learned and beyond their experiences.
In the Bible,
yes,
in the New Testament, you hear of Paul, St. Paul, giving instructions to Timothy as regards the kind of people that should be appointed leaders.
Thank you. Yeah.
He must be a husband of one wife.
Yeah.
He must not have been married more than once.
Yes.
He must not be a heavy drinker, or he must not be a drinker. He must... you have people who are in leadership positions in Nigeria, and some of them are very, very popular politicians who won't pass in all these indices. They will fail in each one of these indices. And somebody who can, how does it say? Somebody who cannot manage his home cannot be expected to manage a whole church or a whole community. And yet, we have people that, if you check them in each one of these areas, they fail woefully. And yet, they are among the popular politicians in Nigeria?
You know, most of these people are not happy at home. First, because they are polygamists.
Yes.
They have very many wives, very many children.
Yes.
And therefore, they are under pressure
Under a lot
from
of
all
pressure.
sides, both to steal and, of course, to pay attention.
Yes.
So what they do is they transfer aggression to the people that they lead.
So they are under pressure?
They are under pressure. They are under pressure. So, you know, once this thing takes root in Nigeria, what we will be telling people is not that they are mad, but we will be highlighting to people areas in which they need to pay attention. You know, so that they will thrive in their aspirations, so that they will be of value to the society that they lead.
A few of us called for, I remember before my own call for psychological assessment of aspirants,
Yes.
I remember that the head of NDLEA,
Yes.
Marwa, called for drug test for everyone. What happened that nobody took our call seriously? And yet, I mean, how do you imagine if a drug addict is your governor? How do you imagine if a drug addict is your minister? I mean, somebody who is seriously compromised when it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
Somebody who might be bipolar or whatever, becoming a leader. Is it?
It's the fear of being discovered, and then the fear of loss of position, and all the perquisites of office are associated therewith. So while we advocate, I think we should also pacify by educating people that, look, psychological assessment is not a death sentence. No, it's not a death sentence. But for God's sake, people, very many people. I was at a very big national institute the other day, and there was a directing staff who confessed to me that, you know, in the UK, where he has lived for a very long time, he has patronized psychological services for his own mental
well-being,
well-being for more than 5 years. And nothing is wrong with him.
Now, this taboo, this taboo, how do we deal with this taboo to say if you are going to see a psychologist, it means you are mad? How do we destroy that taboo? Because, I mean, the point is that just as we are told, oh, everyone needs, especially from age 40, you need annual medical checkup. I think we should make that checkup, it should not be called medical, it should be called health check every year. So that health check will include psychological health.
Yeah.
That when you go to the doctor, to the physician, and he gives you a long list of tests you should do, that it should include, see the psychologist, see the clinical psychologist to be assessed to. Otherwise, I can't imagine. You remember my talk to the industrial and organizational psychologists. The fact is that many of those in leadership positions today are carrying heavy burdens of trauma, of both individual and intergenerational trauma.
Absolutely.
And we're all the victims of that.
Yeah. Now there are video clips making rounds, from religious practitioners, religious leaders, from from paramount rulers, about who must be voted and who should not be voted.
The kind of thing that shouldn't come from a religious leader or traditional ruler.
And in one particular clip, I was amazed that such leaders would say, look, it's either it goes our way or we all perish. Again, no value for life.
Things that a leader should not say.
At all.
I mean, you have your private forum where you can discuss what your preferences are.
You know, so what kind of future are we bequeathing
To our
younger generations? In developed countries, by the time a child is 5 years old, the child would have had at least 4 contacts with a psychologist. Not because the child is abnormal,
No.
but because the child needs, and the parents of the child, they need support to help
and with what,
in the developmental process.
And with what children are exposed to today, the kind of things that I was not exposed to when I was growing up, the child definitely needs psychological support. The parents need psychological support to help this child.
But Father, parenting is no longer intentional. So what do? You just get a phone and you hand it over to your child. Oh yeah, you can play games on it.
Yes, and the child goes to everywhere.
Yes,
the thing has data.
Yes, watch cartoons, and while the child is on, you are busy doing something else. What the child sees, what the child learns, nobody cares. And then at some point, we want to demand, good character and conduct from these children.
Yes.
How can we get it?
I mean, I have had people coming, maybe by the time the child is 18, 19, 20, university age, and then the child is now full of complications, full of mental health complications.
Yes.
That is when the parents are discovering that they have a problem in their hands.
Yeah.
But actually, these problems have been there.
Yeah. And when these problems surface, we are very quick to blame the young people. No, we have responsibility. You have a situation where parents are now abdicating responsibility
and giving to school.
Yes, to teachers.
I actually sympathize with a lot of people who are teaching in high schools and in primary schools and high schools now.
Yeah.
Because the parents that are abdicating their responsibility and pushing it to outsourcing it to school, they are also so impatient with the teachers.
Absolutely.
Every little mistake the teacher is to be hanged.
Absolutely. Many teachers are in trouble. They are in danger. Because this category of parents put the jobs of these teachers on the line.
Yes.
And unfortunately, not many school administrators
recognize that in order to protect the teachers against these parents that are not.
Yes. So these are the issues. It's
not the best of times to be a teacher in a primary school and in a high school, really, because the teacher does not have the authority he used to have in the society.
Yeah.
I know what teachers were when I was growing up, and that helped us. We respected our teachers because our parents respected them.
Absolutely.
Now, if parents don't respect teachers, why would the children?
Certainly not.
Yeah.
Certainly not. But let me also bring up another issue. We now have a very large, in fact, it's an upsurge of substance abuse, but with very few facilities for rehabilitation. And in addition to that, is the fact that by its current construction, the Mental Health Act 2021.
The 2021 that came out in December 2022.
Yes, is not all encompassing because to a great extent it neglects psychological health.
Wow. And it is Mental Health Act.
Yes, it's Mental Health Act. And so to the extent that psychological health is not included, psychological experts do not have sufficient space to make a contribution.
I thought that in the preparation for that Mental Health Act of 2021, I thought that you, as president of Nigerian Psychological Association, you were a critical member of the committee.
Yes, I played a very significant role. I think I was in the same committee with Professor Oyegureje, who was a one-time president of the Association of Psychiatrists in Nigeria. In fact, he's a world-class scholar.
So what happened that at the end?
We handed over to those who succeeded us, and then I think that politics took sway. Politics took sway, and so what has happened in the passing of this bill is a clandestine attempt by the proposers of the bill to exclude key stakeholder practitioners, in the role just for supremacy.
So are you saying, I have not read the bill, the act, are you saying that the critical place of clinical psychologists is not emphasized, is not highlighted?
No, it's not much. It's not much. It's
that's
not
unfortunate.
Much. It's sad. It's
because
sad.
Everybody that has mental health issue is not a psychiatric patient.
Thank you. Until it gets really very bad, you are a client for the psychologists. And that you're a client to the psychologist does not mean the psychiatrist is not important. It doesn't mean the social worker is not important. Now, we actually tried to address this issue at the National Assembly. But because of the politics that had already taken place, the people who should listen didn't listen.
So how
the
long
Minister of State
yes.
Health at the time, Dr. Olorunbe Mamora,
yes,
agreed with us that a lot of work needed to be done on that. As a matter of fact, the Federal Ministry of Health brought in consultants from the World Health Organization a few times, to interact with everybody who was supposed to have a major stake in that mental health bill. So we have a mental health bill. Thank God that at least it's an improvement over the Lunacy Act.
Mm-hmm.
But it does not define the status of mental health care delivery, in this age.
Yeah, because in this age, first of all, the emphasis should be preventive
and promotive.
And promotive. And in that preventive and promotive, the place of psychologists is key. So,
yeah, well, we will find our way around it. We will find our way around it. I know that even the proponents of the bill are not happy with the final outcome because there are many issues that if they had paid attention to, would not have resulted in what we currently have.
I hope it does not take another, how many years? Another 60
No, we
years
will not truncate it. We will keep working on it. Mm-hmm. We will call attention to areas in which this act is deficient.
Yes.
And to ensure that the appropriate and relevant ingredients are injected.
Yeah.
So that we Nigerians will get what they deserve. The public will be adequately protected, and the practitioners also will be adequately protected. There will be accountability for the services that we render.
On that note, we'll be bringing this segment to an end. I have been speaking with Professor Andrew Zamani, former president of the Nigerian Psychological Association and president-elect of the African Psychological Union. We've been discussing the state of mental health in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.